I think that using the responsive practices framework's been good for us. It helps us to keep our eye on making decisions, and it's really helped us with follow through when we've made decisions, then going out to the school buildings and following through with the different things that we've decided.
Right. Responsive practices has really changed our whole dynamic at our school, and we've seen we get a lot more done at meetings than we've ever done before. Um, we you know, we get a lot of people involved. Every faculty meeting, there's at least two or three other staff members that are involved. It's not just me relaying information. I think also it has allowed teachers that maybe weren't natural born leaders among their coworkers to kind of step up and know they have something to share. And sharing 5 minutes or 10 minutes at a faculty meeting is very easy for them to do at first. And then so there's several meetings that I'm not much leading it at all. I'm just facilitating my teachers to share the great things they're already doing.
Positives that I've seen by using the responsive practices framework, again, going back to that consistency, we're able to be more effective when we have our building level admin meetings. We are more prepared and we know what we want to share out when we come to our district level meetings, and it just helps everybody to be on the same page.
Using the responsive practices framework has really made our work together become more efficient, more focused on our goals, and it allows everyone to leave the table feeling like their voices have been heard and they know what the next steps are.
Our use of the responsive practices framework for us began last year, so we're in year 2 of the integration of responsive practices with education elements. In year 1, we concentrated on the supervisor team, and we pulled in some admins from across the district to start the work. And then year 2, we've pulled in every head principal and assistant principal and learning coach in Putnam County. The importance of the work in year 1, we saw immediate changes in our supervisor group and the way we carried out meetings and the way we dispersed information and made decisions together as a team. Creating that psychological safety for all of our team was important for them to be involved in the decision-making process during and after our supervisor meetings. And also the follow-through is one thing that we were looking for from the very beginning in researching this work with education elements. Creating the opportunity to follow through on our integrations and all of the things that we're doing in our district that require good communication. The responsive practices work has definitely provided that for us, giving that meeting template that we can keep information in one place, and the ability for our employees to get back to that information when they need to has been priceless for our district, and will create again that common language that we can talk to each other across the district, whether you're a central office employee, a principal, assistant principal, employee at a school, or a teacher at a school. Providing that common language and framework for us to be able to communicate and then follow up that communication months later, so we make sure we reach the goals that we set for ourselves as time goes on, has been just something to see that work in our district and in a school building has been phenomenal thus far, and we're just beginning this work.
The positives that I have seen is that there has been intentional planning for meetings using the agendas from at Elements. The other thing that I've seen is that in building those agendas, I also know that there's shared team learning going on, because that is evident when you're in these meetings. The other thing that I've seen is that the meetings in general have been improved. As someone that started going to data team meetings across the county last year and going to those same meetings again this year, it has excited me tremendously to see the growth that has been made because of the planning, the shared team learning, and the meetings then naturally have improved. They've improved because the meetings are more focused. There's more intentional conversations going back to the common language that's being used across the county, and there's more deliberate actions being made. So when you go from one meeting to the next, it has amazed me to see the improvements in this system because of responsive practices. And I can only assume that because of these responsive practices that we're utilizing, the growth that I've seen from one year to the next is going to spill over into our school system and the teachers and what we're doing to be intentional and deliberate to improve our achievement in the school system.
So the positives for the responsive framework, one of the main one is the action at the end. The thing about the agenda and setting that up, it automatically holds somebody accountable at the end of the day, and there's a time frame within that accountability. So whatever decisions, whatever processes you have in place, whatever you decide at the end of the day, there's accountability piece and who's responsible for that, and there's a time frame from when that's going to be completed. And you know, the pre-work for an agenda or for a meeting is also important. We're not spending time during the meeting talking about who's going to do what. All that stuff is taken care of at the beginning, and so it makes those meetings more efficient. And then again, you have an accountability piece at the end and a framework that everybody who was attached to that meeting or that agenda knows this person's accountable for this at this time.
Responsive practices has really helped us focus on our goals and not have too many goals. Sometimes if we have too many goals, it's hard to really give each individual goal that we're working on the due diligence it deserves. It helps keep us focused and helps us really revisit the work and hold us accountable to making sure we're doing what we say we're going to do, aligned to our goals.
We've been using the responsive practices framework at the district level now for almost 18 months. And what we have seen is a huge shift in the amount of time that we spend in meetings. We spend more time on the front end planning and preparing for meetings, much like a classroom teacher would do with a lesson plan. You spend time in the prep work, but then when we get to the actual meat of the meetings, we're much more focused, much more productive. We're making decisions. So we've gone from having a 2.5 to 3 hour meeting that just kind of drags on, and we talk, we have a lot of good, rich conversation, but nothing really came out of the meeting. With responsive practices, we've cut that meeting time to where we're only meeting for an hour, hour and a half. It's a focused meeting. We're making decisions. We're assigning people to, when we make a decision, assigning a person to own the next steps, what we need to do, creating the next steps, and then creating follow through to go back and make sure that what we talked about doing, what we want to see happening and need to happen, actually does happen. So responsive practices has made a huge shift for us at the district level in being more focused and cutting down the amount of time we're spending just kind of useless wasted time.